going back to Pittsburgh, you would find, I'm sure you've heard plenty of the stories about the hobos and the yards and things like that.
I wish my grandfather was still alive because he worked on the B&O for 40 years, and he would have had stories to tell.
Oh, I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it. It's really a very rich kind of place. Other questions, observations, or comments?
I was just going to say that, you know, I don't remember if you knew I worked for a while at the Avalanche bar. It
Yes.
used to be across from Marquette. And they had two clienteles, the college students, but that wasn't until after 10:30 at night. They came from the library. Before that, they had street people all day long, elderly, retired, or and many of them, they would leave by 8 or 9 o'clock, and because it was a very crowded bar, the students, during the winter, they would drink a lot, and they would lose hats and mittens and mufflers, things, scarves, and they kept a big box where they would throw, all the bartenders would just, if stuff was left there at the end of the night, they'd throw it in the box, and people could come like a lost and found and look. But the homeless people would come, and apparently the homeless people, I learned this from the bartender Mark, who was on during the time they were in the bar. I remember he yelled at one guy. Apparently the homeless people would decide if they could manage the money to buy a bottle of wine. Then they would not go to sleep in the homeless shelters because you can't be intoxicated. And he would yell out, I was going to say this is a verbal sign, it's not a written sign, but he yelled out, "Flaherty, are you UTB?" And he said, "Come on over here, take some mittens." And UTB, I found under the bridge. That meant that's where he was going to sleep that night. It was 20 below, too, but he was going to do it. But interesting how, UTB, I never heard. I wouldn't know that, but...
I think there certainly were kind of phrases that people would call, so a railroad worker would, the muscle who would kind of keep the trains clear were bulls, and there's quite a bit of, sort of code names for things as well, not only with the images, but they're certainly out there. Other thoughts?
Thank you so much. Anybody have any other questions, comments?
Thank you. Wonderful presentation.
Thank you.
It was a great presentation. Well, thank you for coming. And I just want to say that it was wonderful reading. The room here was crowded with the souls of 10,000 hobos. It took them about 10 minutes to get in here. But they were listening. 6 or 7 of them were back in the corner. They weren't listening. But they were talking about what they were talking about. The rest of them were here. I kept listening to everything they said. Thank you so much, Pat.
And if people are interested, I do have copies of the book for sale, and I'm more than happy to share those.